What's going on? It's time for another episode of Too Hard for the Radio, transmitting from the future free state of Greater Idaho. I am the one-armed madman, and with me today, we've got ourselves a first-timer. It's Cody Johnston, the weird Canadian. How we doing, brother?
Hello. Pretty good. How about yourself?
Not bad. It's been a rush of a day, but, sometimes when you get that adrenaline rush, it can make for some good podcasting. So being fired up is not a terrible thing when you get on the podcast, right?
Well, I certainly have a lot of things to be fired up about, especially with what's going on in Canada right now. So.
Oh, let's just get right into it. What's happening in the old 51st state?
Well, after our election, things kind of hit the fan, especially after that weird conversation that our prime minister had with with Trump not too long ago.
Yeah.
Sorry, my green screen seems to be falling on me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's actually falling on me. Okay, we're just gonna push that back. Sorry about that.
That's all right.
But yeah.
It's a podcast. Nobody cares. That's the beauty of podcasts. You can have dogs barking, green screens falling, and nobody really cares.
Fair enough. But yeah, and we've had the Liberal government get in, and not too many people are happy about it because it was very cutthroat and very come down to the line at the end. And then, as we're just seeing right now, our Liberal government is now not doing the job that everybody thought they were going to do. Especially, we now just found out that our National Postal Service is bankrupt.
Oh, nice.
And our Postal Service workers are now going on strike as of Friday.
Oh,
so,
well, no mail for you.
Yeah. And I live in an island, and that's the only way we really get mail is through our National Service. So we basically get nothing since Friday. So packages, everything, we won't get anything for a while.
Wow, that's messed up. That conversation between Trudeau and Trump, that was weird. Like, if we're talking weird Canada, it was like I didn't watch the entire thing. I kind of caught the end of it, which was like the viral moment of it where he kind of told Trudeau, like, we don't want your resources. We don't want your cars. Like, we want to do this all ourselves. And then he kind of just like, you could see Trudeau sitting over there, like doing stuff with his hands. He's just like wanting to say something, but he kind of can't because of where he is. And then instead of giving Trudeau a chance to like respond to those comments, he just ended the press conference and kicked everybody out. I thought that was a pretty alpha move on Trump's part.
It was, and I think when Canada really elected, so it wasn't Trudeau, it's Carney now, unfortunately. Yeah. I don't like Carney. I actually prefer Trudeau because you knew what you were getting into. Carney's a whole bag that nobody knows about. That's a whole other side of things.
Yeah, we'll dig into him here in a bit.
But yeah, it was very passive-aggressive, and he seemed like he really was trying to pull a Zelensky, but didn't have the balls to really pull that off, right? Like, he's not a strong enough guy to be able to say, hey, like, here's the US really trying to like force themselves on us. That's the message we've been getting is we want to be annexed, right? Woo!
Yeah.
51st state. None of us want that, really. But yeah, just to have a leader that goes in and kind of shits the bed and shows that Canada is just going to roll over like we've done for the past decade and put us in this position that we're in right now.
And I'm not a fan of the 51st state thing either. I think it's a great troll by Trump just to kind of get under his skin. But no offense, but you guys are a little bit too much of a welfare state, and we already have a welfare state problem. And I can't imagine how much worse it would make things if we just took on Canada as well. It would seem like it would just be a disaster if I'm being completely honest. Like, I don't see how it could work out. I would like to see Alberta maybe secede and become their own territory. That would be pretty cool. They've got a lot of resources, and I live in Idaho, so I'm a proponent of Greater Idaho. I think that people should be more represented by people that they agree with or are sympathetic to. Like, there's whole areas of Oregon that are just ran by Portland that have no desire to be governed that way. They would like more to be where we're at here in Idaho. And the funny thing about Greater Idaho is one of the major sticking points of it is not Oregon. Sure, Portland isn't happy about it. They want to have as much power and as much representation in Washington as they possibly can. But Boise doesn't want it because it would just make them less powerful. And I'm all about if I was going to run for governor of Idaho, and this is not my idea, I stole this from somebody else, but it would be put a dome over Boise and just don't pay attention to the middle.
That is completely fair. I honestly, I completely understand the welfare state kind of thing. We've we've seceded a lot. Our rights have kind of been eroded over the
Yeah.
past couple of years or decade or so, especially uh, during COVID with our trucker convoy. That was a shit show and a half. That really showed the powers that Canadian government has, and it really showed a lot of people the fear that we have living in this kind of country. Um, but yeah, we love being the neighbor. We love we love Americans. That's the biggest thing out of all of this
Yeah.
is um, it's kind of hard because Canadian culture is also American culture. Like we've been
Yeah.
indoctrinated in everything you guys have, and it's very hard for us to be separate. But at the same time, like we've also lost our culture. We used to have TV shows that told us what Canada was, what we stood for, that kind of thing,
Yeah.
and a lot of that just got left to the wayside. So it's left. We're kind of left being like we follow America so closely, but yet our politics are completely different. So everybody's applying American politics to Canadian politics and
Mhm.
expecting it to be the exact same thing.
Yeah. No, I get it, man. Like, I don't really understand Canadian politics. Like, I like watching clips of Parliament because it's pretty fun. They get to go at each other and have some fun. But like, that has happened to us as well. Like, what it means to be American, what the American dream actually is. Like, these used to be top down kind of like cultural ideas that were pushed into schools and into communities, and like that was kind of, you know, shining mountain on the hill. Like all that kind of stuff has kind of just gone away. And it's been more like shut up and do what you're told for the past like, I don't know, 8 years or so, 10 years, something like that. It's really like it's really like deflating to see because I grew up, I'm 39 years old. I grew up in a very fun place in Northern California. Nobody gave a shit about politics. Like people were into dirt bikes and playing
Yep.
sports and just living a good life. And then like all of that stuff started to change. You know, the small town that I grew up in wine country decided it didn't want to be a small town for locals anymore. It wanted to be a destination for, you know, vacationers to come and wine taste. And it's like, it wasn't gonna work, but, like, now that entire town that I grew up in, when I was after the election, I was curious just to see, like, where they fell, you know, because,
Hmm.
like I said, when I grew up there, nobody cared about politics. Like, my grandfather had a big sign in his yard that was like, "Fuck you, Obama, I paid for this land," and, like, people loved that. They would honk about it and shit, and now, like, they redid our downtown to make it more of a touristy type of place. All of
Hmm.
the businesses that went in there initially, they all failed, and they kicked out like the old delis and the gym and like all of the local stuff that people enjoyed was gone. And then it was like boutique shopping and all of these businesses failed. And now they are 85% liberal versus like 10% Republican and then another 5% of like libertarian or whatever else. And it's like that is not the town that I grew up in. And it's amazing to see how quick it's actually changed, you know, because I didn't recognize any of those changes when I left when I was like, you know, 30 essentially. So 10 years ago, like I still recognized it as my hometown, but now going back there, it's like, wow, this is not where I grew up at all.
I literally moved provinces. I lived in Ontario for 30 years. Like I'm 33 years old. Me and my partner just up and left Ontario because it was getting political, polarized, becoming even hard to just survive. Like I was working a government job. My fiance's a nurse. We were making good money, and it was like we were paycheck to paycheck, right? And it's like how do we come this far and not be able to make it as far? I think it really comes down to um, capital rolled out of all small businesses
Yeah.
and left big corporations and VCs to run things and funnel money out of all of these small businesses. And now we're left with the husk of, oh, we have this globalization and now we don't have access to it because we have this tariff war and all of this global turmoil. Um, and now it's funny because we're coming to a time where we need small businesses, we need localization, we need all this, and AI is going to
Yeah.
accelerate that. Everything needs to be localized now,
Mhm.
and we're so globalized that we have no infrastructure for local.
And And like as far as small businesses go, this is something I've been complaining about for a couple years now, is that like ESG policies have put a cap on small business essentially and medium-sized business. Like if you have a small business that you start and you want to take it from a small to a medium to a large corporation type of business, you have to play ball on all of this ESG crap. So
Yep.
like a lot of that is energy intensive, it is capital intensive, and it's going against like actual business practices. Like these things can't survive on a free market. They have to be, parasitic technology where, it requires subsidies and tax breaks to even survive. And then you force this upon these small businesses that don't want any part of it. And now they have to make the decision, do I play ball with something that I think is stupid and will probably hurt me in the long run? Or do I just keep my business small the way it is? And I think that's criminal.
It comes down to blanket policies, really. Like they're only listening to the big guys. They're only getting formed by the big guys, and the big guys don't want the little players in because they know they can grow. They know they, especially now, everybody wants personalization. Everybody wants authentic. Everybody wants the home style touch that we used to have, those mom and pop shops,
Yeah.
and now they're all gone, right? So it government never looked at small business as being a backbone, but now we're seeing it. It's been the backbone. If I'm not mistaken, Corey Sanchez just said like 80% of small businesses are the U.S. economy. When those go, like, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
There's nobody to transfer them to. Everybody right now should be getting into buying small businesses or figuring out how to build a small business. Um, I have so much plans for my future that I'm already started on, but um, yeah, it's just getting back to realizing what our home values are, what we want, and building it that way and saying, fuck you, government. We're going to do it our way.
Yeah, I would love it if like the federal government in the United States was like the Catholic Church, where where the Catholics are like, "Hey, the Pope said something the other day." And I'm like, "Yeah, we don't care what the Pope said. Like, who
It,
cares? We're
it
just
doesn't
gonna
affect our
con-
day to day. We're good.
exactly. We're
Yeah.
just gonna keep living our lives. That guy's an idiot anyway. So like, who really cares? Like the town I grew up in, we were 5,000 people. We had a small Ace Hardware that was like half a mile from my house. You needed anything, you could go there, and they had people that knew the products. They had a key section. I tell this people all the time because they like even at your age, you might not have seen this, but like they would have keys where you would go in and there was a person that made extra keys for you. They didn't have the machine for it back then, and like that was an extra job. So like if you were making $15 an hour just doing your normal thing at Ace Hardware, you make another $2 an hour if you learn how to do the keys. And
Mhm.
and now I complain about Home Depot and Lowe's so much because it's like they don't even want to be in business anymore. They just want Amazon to take over for them, I think. And like you go in there and you ask somebody where something is, and they're just like, I have no idea. They look into the phone and they're trying. Like I saw a video the other day where this guy went into Home Depot and he's like, "Hey, I'm looking for a left-handed hammer." And there's like four people standing around him. And they're like, "Oh, okay." And they just start looking at their phones. And he's like, "Yeah, left-handed hammer." And then finally, some guy walked by that was like maybe knew something. And he's just like, this guy's messing with. But it took him like 5 or 6 minutes to
Mm.
realize that this guy was messing with him. And it's like that wouldn't have happened in the Ace Hardware that I grew up. And they'd be like, "Get out of here with that crap. Come on, man. We're trying to do some business here."
Well, and one of my first jobs was a small PC shop. So like
Hmm.
I was actually repairing people's computers before Best Buy and like the Geek Squad
Yeah.
really came in. And that was a key business back then. You needed people to fix your PC because viruses were a big thing. And people really don't take care of their equipment. But I digress.
Yeah.
Um,
I did want
and
to I did want to circle back to the truckers. We kind of got off of
yeah,
that
go
before I
ahead.
wanted to make a point about this. I thought that the trucker thing was incredible. Like it was so good to see people like grow a backbone and just like say we are not going to take this bullshit anymore. And it kind of reminded, I think, the powers that be that there is a powerful like group of people in Canada and America that, blue collar workers that are just
Mhm.
sick of being, lied to and condescended and gaslit, and you've got all of these truckers who every day the elite class or the Zoom class or whatever you want to call them, they depend on truckers, they depend on mail workers, they depend on contractors. Like we build their homes, we build the roads, we maintain the roads, we build their cars, we deliver all of their food and all of their goods. Without us they would die immediately because we build the power lines. I was a lineman. Like without
Yeah.
blue collar workers this place goes to hell really quick. But they'll trust us with their lives every day without even thinking about it. But then when it comes to politics, you're too stupid to know what's good for you.
Oh, not just politics, your money.
Yeah,
You're too
money.
stupid to know what to do with your own money,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Like that's the whole reason you have a bank. You can't be trusted with your money. Um, it's really so. I'll reframe the trucker convoy
Mhm.
because when I first heard of it, it was COVID. I was in Ontario, and the mainstream media got on it in Canada, and it was bad. Like all it was this is a terrorist organization
Yeah.
trying to take down our government, like propaganda to high hell. I didn't realize until I moved here that there was a whole underlying of no, the government was using existential powers to enforce mandates that they couldn't allow, like enforce that our government didn't allow. We actually had to use a clause that was never used in our lifetime, first time ever used
Yeah.
to cut down that convoy. And on top of that, they closed bank accounts
Yeah.
and cut off cryptocurrencies to these people. And it's like, oh shit, our government just decided, "Oh, we're not going to fuck with you and we're just going to shut you down." And all our media said was, hey, no, no, it's a terrorist group. It's okay. You're fine. Like, it's not, the government's not in the wrong here, where it was just a few people trying to stir things up. We don't know anything about those people, but the actual people trying to do the convoy, trying to build up things, this message of, hey, the government's taking too much liberty. It's stepping on our freedom. But yeah, like our media hides so much of it, and in our rural areas or in our urban areas, it's hard to figure out what is right and what is wrong and what comes out. It's very different in Canada because we have like one mainstream media, and our outlier voices, our communities, our podcasts are deemed misinformation or
Yeah.
misinformed or just distrustworthy.
Yeah.
We actually have a bill that limits our reach and our speech.
Oh, wow.
So
That's so
yeah,
scary, Like, that type of stuff is scary. Anything that has to do with speech terrifies me. Like, that thing that Trump did the other day with outlawing revenge porn, like, to me,
yeah.
that's free speech, and, like, I think it's disgusting, and, like, anything that erodes free speech is just, ugh,
But like, so I look at it like this: we have, so everybody's like, oh, we need to like protect like we need to get
yeah.
rid of harmful content, hateful content, all this stuff, and I'm like, but just look at Twitter. It's filled with hateful content. All you have to do is not engage.
Mhm.
Like,
It's
it is your choice to not engage.
Yeah, and, like,
You can
you
block
want to
people. Like,
see that crazy shit. Like, I wanna see what the fringe is saying. Let them say it. Let us show us your hand. Like, that was something that I was really hopeful about the trucker protests was, like, the government really showed their hand there.
mm,
Like, they were not bluffing. They were not, kinda just messing with it. Like, they really came down on them hard. And I thought,
yeah.
like, okay, this is really gonna wake people up in Canada. I think it woke people up a lot in the United States. And like, unfortunately, it doesn't seem to have, like, made any lasting change. Maybe a little more in the United States even than in Canada.
It's because of our messaging. Like, we have two bills uh in law right now. One is Bill C-11, which is our online streaming act, which basically says YouTube, Netflix, like TikTok, like they also have to promote Canadian content, but then they don't label what Canadian content is. So there's just a blanket of nobody knows what it is. And then there's Bill C-18, which is our online news act, which basically says if as a user I post a link to a news article on Facebook or Instagram, Facebook or Instagram has to now pay that news station for the article that I posted. And I'm like, okay, so they basically Meta and Google said we're just not going to pay for it. You can't link it anymore. So a lot of our news that was being shared on social media just got cut off, and nobody knew. Like, I still have conversations to this day that people don't understand. You can't share news on Facebook in Canada. They're
Wow.
like, but I see news all the time. I'm like, no, it's sponsored content. It is
Wow.
ads.
Wow, that is so freaking it's what do they call those native ads where you
Yeah.
like do a news story and then all of a sudden you're talking about Doritos for some reason. And then you're talking about some study that has to do with Doritos. It's we're captured by the pharmaceutical companies. Like that is I'm so disappointed in RFK to be honest. Like I don't think he's done anything so far. Like I can't point to anything good that he's done. He seems to be completely captured and scared of his infidelity issues and like he's specifically said more than once on day one they were going to issue an executive order getting rid of pharmaceutical ads on television, and yet it's still here.
Oh, the whole pharmaceutical industry is about to shit the bed, to be honest with you. The technology that I get to see and that I'm hearing in the background, because I'm heavy into tech, I'm heavy into AI. I follow that to a T. That industry is going to completely 180. We've already looked into next year. There'll be health patches out that are like just like a smoking patch
Mhm.
you put on. It'll be able to read your blood, your sweat, to be able to diagnose what you have, what's going on with you, if you're regulated properly. Um, Food is becoming more prevalent in terms of as a medicine. So we're starting to like promote healthier foods and growing your own foods because the foods in our supermarket have no nutrients anymore. I honestly think in the next 5 years, you're about to see an agricultural rollover, and then you're going to end up with less pharmaceuticals needed. And they're just going to end up trying to figure out ways of doing it. Like,
That's
I think even
incredible.
Ozempic's going to get thrown out the window eventually.
Oh, that would be so nice. Like, I started gardening a couple years ago, and like I got electrocuted working on power lines, and it kind of affected my like sense of taste and smell. So like, spicy stuff I can't really do anymore. And at one point, like I thought I'd lost my taste for fruit. I go and buy some strawberries at the I love strawberries and I love raspberries. I buy some strawberries and raspberries at the store, and you eat them and it's like these things taste like water, you know? And
Mhm.
then I started growing them in my garden. It's like, holy shit, it wasn't me. It was the fruit. And then you look into it and it's like the fruit that you're eating isn't even really ripe. Like it's frankenfruit. They pick it all before it's ripe and then they put it into a big warehouse and just start dumping chemicals on it to make it look like it's ripe. And like
What
it's
it's
so crazy.
ridiculous too, because we even have, so here, we truck in all our food. We have 3 grocery store chains, right? Like, Loblaws, Walmart, and a few others here. Nothing that's like, everything's a chain.
Mhm.
There's no independent grocery stores anymore here. It's all chained. But we have local farmers that are selling on the side of the street because they can't sell in the store because it's a chain store. They have to trek in all of their fruit and vegetables from halfway across the country. When we've got fruit and vegetables literally around the corner that they can't sell.
Yeah.
And it's like, how are we having this problem of food prices being extraordinarily exorbitant when I could literally go around the corner to the farmer and ask for the same food for half the price?
Yeah, my neighbor is a cattle rancher. He died a couple years ago, and he was just kind of doing it to stay busy. He wasn't making a ton of
Mhm.
money or anything like that. And his son came and took it over, and inflation just destroyed them. Like he's trying to sell the property, he can't sell the property. There was probably 500 head of cattle out there at one point. Now he's got like 4 or 5 cows, and the guy who is like his rancher, his ranch hand who lives on the property is a butcher by trade. He butchers elk for people like in hunting season, and he will not sell me a cow, half a cow, nothing because he's terrified of the government. They won't let him do it.
Yeah.
Like even if he wanted to supply my entire neighborhood with beef, he's not allowed to do it. And it's just criminal. Like I saw a video the other day of a guy who was a milk farmer, and he's just dumping out hundreds
Oh
and
yeah.
thousands of gallons of milk because the government will not let them put it out on the market. And it's like he could give it away for free to people, but no, you can't have raw milk. That's terrible for you, like something
Yeah.
we've
Well,
all
I think the
done for
Canadian
thousands of
government,
years. It's amazing like we've been eating meat and drinking raw milk for thousands and thousands of years and the government tells you it's bad and everybody's like, "Oh, well, better go vegan." you know?
yeah. The if I'm not mistaken, Canada has like a cartel on the milk too. So
Mm,
like we have a static price across all of Canada for milk, and then the government controls, and yeah, they dump out thousands of liters of milk per year because it's overstock and they can't hold on to it. And it's like, well, why don't we just flood the market and let the market come up with the price? Because
yeah.
that's how free market mechanics work.
Yeah. They want the price to be up. That's like one
Yeah.
thing that everybody thinks that like Roosevelt saved us from the Great Depression. He's like, not really. If you look into what he did, he made farmers slaughter millions of cows and pigs. They kept milk and eggs down and they just tossed everything because they didn't want the prices to go down. They wanted the prices to stay up. And it's really criminal what they do to food. Like I I get all of my meat from a local butcher now, which is great. Like I was having really like nasty health problems after I got hurt. I was having problems with food. I wasn't eating right, and like I couldn't keep weight on. I was down to like 130 pounds. I'm like 6'3", so 130 pounds at 6'3" is not a good place to be. And I ended up like switching from the normal American diet over to like I went basically carnivore for like
Mhm.
a year, essentially. I just made a steak for dinner every night. I ate once a week, and I immediately got healthier. Like I put weight on, I felt better, I was sleeping better, and so then I started like the local shop, the local store around me is called Winco. So I stopped buying my meat from there, and I moved over to a butcher. It was like an extra
Mhm.
dollar an ounce, so it's not even really like that much different. And just sitting the steaks next to each other in the refrigerator, you can see the difference. The one from the butcher is darker, it's got more fat
Mhm.
content, and then you put it onto the grill and fry that bastard, and it has less smoke than the one that's coming from Winco. So you know like something is way different. And you know, I've seen that they do a lot of nasty stuff to meat that I wasn't aware of. Like most of the salmon that you buy in the stores, all farm raised salmon, and when you cut it, those fillets are white and they end up dyeing them pink. So you think it's a normal salmon. It's really gross.
The there was what was I was just thinking about something there. Um, we have a fishing industry here, so we get a lot of our fresh fish. The funny part is, so I live on Newfoundland. It's an island. The majority of our resources are fishing and stuff like that.
Mhm.
So it's funny here because fish is so expensive. I live on an island where we fish, and fish is incredibly expensive.
Yeah.
How does that make any sense? Right? And it's
I worked in the oil fields in North Dakota where we're pumping like 40% of the oil that we use in the country and gas is over $6 a gallon at some point. It's like how does that happen? But when you look into it like, well, there's no refineries here, so they have to ship it here and then it goes over a train and then it goes to a pipeline, then it goes to another train, then it goes to a truck and then finally a truck drives it back over here and it's like, oh my god.
and
Like
then they're like all this, oh, we're gonna switch to renewables, but like we have no renewables to switch over to, and it's like, okay, 5 years we're gonna switch over to renewables. We have no renewables. We can't dig for new resources because you've limited us in digging.
yep.
We can't build a new pipeline to like increase our oil production so that we can somehow trade it off for these renewables.
Yeah.
Like it makes no sense. We're tying ourselves down for the sake of carbon emissions and all
Yeah,
this, but
carbon
yet,
neutral.
if
Which doesn't
yeah,
exist. Like there
uh,
has to be like carbon taxes are the funniest thing in the world to me. Like, oh, we'll just
we
off our
did
carbon onto some other country.
Canada last 5 years of carbon tax paid for 37 hours of China emitting carbon. 5 years of us paying carbon tax. It was billions of dollars,
Yeah.
and they blew it in 37 hours.
I I
So
I don't
really, is
doubt
this
that at all.
carbon neutral bullshit really a thing? Like,
And dude,
can we not just start actually resourcing this shit?
and we don't have the people to do it. So like as a lineman, when I went to line school, they told us that 50% of the industry was within 10 years of retirement. That was 10 years ago. And I've read books, like I have a book up there called The Grid. It's a Bill Gates pick. It says right on the front. So you know it's good. And they say they have the same stat in there. So like in the 50s when we started when World War II was over, they came out with the Rural Electrification Act, which is one of the best things that Roosevelt did was bring power to the farmers and shit like that. We were building like 50,000 miles of lines during the 50s, just like crazy. We didn't have bucket trucks. We didn't have any of the shit that we have now. And last year we built 300 miles of lines in this country. So, like, you go on to Biden's own website, they said that they wanted to increase the electrical grid by 40%. Well, that's like 700,000 miles of transmission lines. It's equivalent to like wrapping lines around the earth like 14 times. They want to do this in 10 years. And it's like, A, we that's not possible, even if we wanted
Mhm.
to. And B, every freaking high school guidance counselor and teacher in the country is telling you not to work construction to go into tech or some other bullshit job. Go to college and waste all of your money and get nothing out of it when you return. And like there's good jobs out there for building, but like you said, they've made it impossible to build, you know? My buddy that I do the podcast with, he's into AI as well. He's heavy into agents right now. And
Yep.
I was talking to him yesterday or the other day about I saw just some guy, I don't know if this is true or not, but he was saying that agents are going to require 10 or 100 megawatts in the next 4 years. And it's like That's not possible. A, we can't get 100 megawatts online in 4 years, even if we wanted to. That's like 100 nuclear reactors, you know? And I don't know how it's good that like tech people kind of woke up in this last election and was like, "Oh, this green energy thing and this AI thing are non-compatible. Like we have to have energy. We have to drill baby drill if we want to do this." And like that's a great thing for the country, but even if like Trump suspended regulations and made it as easy as possible to build in this country, you're still not going to get 10 nuclear power plants online in the next 4 years or 100 in the next
No,
however many. It's just can't happen. And I am worried about what's going to happen with AI and energy because they're, you know, going to be pretty
I,
intensive.
I'm I'm hopeful. So right now, I'll give you a little bit of insight that I know of.
Sure.
I right now in BC, we just broke a record for nuclear fission. So I believe we were able to output double the input that we
Oh,
had in terms
wow.
of energy. So tests are starting to look good in that regard. But yeah, we need the infrastructure. Canada too. We built a grid east to west, not north to south.
Yeah.
So we can't even get to our territories. Like
Mhm.
there's no roads up to Nunavut or the Northwest Territories. You have to fly there
Yeah.
or like go boat by boat. We have no infrastructure, so our pipelines run through the U.S. So all our gas has to go through the U.S. in order to get back to half of our country, anyways. We have no power lines that go east to west. Like our grids are completely separate.
Mhm.
And yet, yeah, we want to have this one unified grid that powers everything and data centers and all this. And it's like, you've restricted us from building any of this. How do
Yeah.
you expect it to be here in 5 years?
And then also like our grid, I don't know about your guys' grid. I don't know too much about it, but like our grid, 40% of the grid is over its expiration date. Like it is
Yep.
falling apart. And not only do we not have the people to build out this new grid, we don't have the people to like replace the grid that we're on now. I can look out my window and I've got a pole from the 70s and we're still running copper power lines. You know, we would do these things in North Dakota where like you've got a 7200 um substation, right? Everything's running off 7200. Well, that's not enough power to go to the well sites and the homesteads that you're so we have to upgrade this substation. We have to put these massive transformers up to up the power and like we've got it everywhere. We're really patching it together with like bubble gum and baling wire at this point. And
It,
it's funny to me when people just like hand wave that away and go, "Oh, yeah, we're just going to build out this new AI infrastructure." It's like, "Okay, I hope we are, but like how are you going to get the people in there? Like let's focus on that first and maybe
I,
start putting everything back together and then we can worry about this, massive extension of the grid."
it was one of the biggest problems I saw with the government. So I worked in the government for 8 years, Ministry of Transportation in Ontario,
Oh.
yeah, working for just building applications for our users, our citizens, and stuff like that. But it really came evident that the government doesn't focus on maintaining anything. They just have to build on top. Like they just build, 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 build. They never look back to see what they've created, to see if it needs to fix, or invest the dollars up front to establish a good framework or a good set so that we can build off of that. Like I keep it putting it as we're building out this roller coaster, and the tracks at the beginning of the roller coaster are 50 years old, and we're coming up to the end of the roller coaster and we just have band-aids on the lines
Yeah.
where there's cracks in
Yeah,
those.
it's like the beginning of the roller coaster is a wooden roller coaster, and the end of the roller coaster is like a high-powered magnetic Ferrari roller coaster. And it's like,
And
yeah,
it's
those things
rolling
can't
into the
mesh
wooden right
together.
now. Yeah.
That's a great way to put it. I like that. That's fucking interesting.
The biggest thing that I was always told was we don't have enough money up front. And I'm like, but we can justify it because we're saving money over the next 10 years. We're saving like 3 times as much by investing now to investing later. And they're like, no, no, we don't have money for late for now. We only have money for later. And I'm like, well, that's fucking stupid
Yeah.
because we shouldn't be running that way.
And like politicians always want a nice shiny object that they can hold up and show to the public. And like, hey, we rebuilt, 50,000 miles of lines that were falling apart is not really a great trophy that you can, show up to the public. Like they want to see what it's like sports. What have you done for me lately? Right?
I wish there could be like satellite imagery to showcase where all of the forest fires are starting? Because I can guarantee you they're starting from those electrical
Dude,
lines.
we were just going over this on the podcast the other day. Like we have control centers where everything is you've probably seen these being in the in transportation. Like it shows all of the lines. You can show where every fault is. It pops up as a little red light or something like that. You could put that data together with where, we were talking about the fires in the Palisades in Southern California. You could literally go, here's the map. Here's the power line map. We got a fault here at 8:55 p.m. and we've got a fault and we've got a fire here at 9 p.m. It's like, well, that would be a pretty easy thing. And like I don't understand this is beyond me as a lineman. Like, why in the hell do they leave the power on during these windstorms? Like, it is so easy to just go, "Hey guys, sorry, you're not going to be able to use your iPads tonight." No
Mhm.
electricity, and it would have saved billions of dollars. But there's some like we've had problems with wind energy too, where like all of these windmills in North America are owned by like European companies or Chinese companies, and variable power is really hard for the grid to utilize. And there's been times in like the Northwest where you've got a massive storm going. There's wind, there's rain, and they go, "Hey, look, we got to turn these windmills off because we've got way too much hydropower going through here and we can't just like turn it all off. So can you guys turn off your windmills?" They're like, "No. We turn off the windmills,
Yeah.
we don't get our subsidies." So the windmills stay on and the power goes out completely.
Canada did it too. We've sold a lot of our resources to foreign investors to like just get us by, and it's like the Ontario sold the 407 highway, so it's told like I think they're a company in Belgium or something that runs our 407 and charges us to use it.
Doesn't
Like
maintain it.
our energy stations are all privately owned, or our energy companies are all privately owned. It's like our government sold off every resource that we had and then is like, oh, we have no control over it
Yeah.
anymore. And it's like, well, you put us in that fucking position.
Yeah. And I'm super bullish on nuclear fusion or fission, not fusion, excuse me. Like
Yeah.
fusion is I think a boondoggle and a little bit of a little bit of a bad mission, but like I am super bullish on fission. And I think like if we would have kept doing fission instead of like made it illegal and made it hard, like everybody thinks that it was like 3 Mile Island and the movie, the China syndrome. Oh, that killed nuclear. It's like, no, 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 no.
Mhm.
We killed it ourselves. Like the nuclear industry after 3 Mile Island and Chernobyl should have been like, hey, look, that was a nuclear bomb factory. That was not an electricity plant. We are not building nuclear bombs with these things. And like we can make them say and they go, "Oh, you're right." Instead, they go, "Oh, you're right. They are dangerous." But guess what? We've got all of these safety equipments that we can sell you, and then we've got all these
Mm.
regulations, and they're pumping the prices up. And at that point, like all of the best engineers in the past 75 years have all gone into computers and into tech because things like nuclear fission was a dead end. You're not going to get anywhere on that because we're not building nuclear reactors anymore. I think if we would have kept building nuclear reactors, we could have them at this point where like my HOA could own their own nuclear reactor.
Oh yeah.
Like ChatGPT
I
thinks that we could have them in cars at this point. And like the United States government, anytime they talk about climate change, it's just shut up. You guys solved this fucking years ago with your nuclear reactors and submarines and in your aircraft carriers. They won't give out any of the data on that shit, but you could have those things in every city in America and be great. But no, they don't
mhm.
want that.
I'm ending up getting solar just to like get off the grid more
Yeah.
than anything else. But yeah, like I have grand ideas to like bring some of these things in, but I really do think a lot of our investment is like fleed to the other side of the pond and just left us entirely because we're kind of fighting amongst ourselves and don't know what we're doing. And yeah, like anybody who's good and knows what they're doing is going to move because they're going to have more opportunities somewhere else than in our countries that are taxing the shit out of us and not giving us any incentive to actually build here.
Yeah. And like, so I ended up going to college for my retraining after I got hurt. And like, what a joke. What an absolute joke. They're not preparing you to like start a business and be an entrepreneur. Like my the main campus for the college that I went to shares a parking lot with Walmart. And my joke was is like they're not preparing you to be the next, Bill Gates or badass entrepreneur. They're training you to be the fucking manager at Walmart. And you
Yep.
just go next door and manage. And like that's the best you can get. And like most of the people, including myself, like that were in college, like I did very well in college. I thought it was really easy, which was ridiculous. And
Yeah.
most of the people had no business being there whatsoever. Like, should be on a construction crew, should be doing something completely different, not wasting your money on this bullshit. And like I ended up going in, I was a business major and I kind of fell behind on one of my classes and I ended up having to like right at the end I switched to a liberal arts degree because I had to graduate in the time
Yeah.
period. And anyways, the difference between a liberal arts degree and a business degree is 2 classes.
Mm.
And one of those classes is accounting, which like, why the fuck am I even taking accounting? We have computer programs for this shit now, you know? And this is as AI is coming out, like, and it was just,
Oh,
it's so
it's already
ridiculous.
taken a software developer. It's already taken over my job. I free business idea for anybody listening. Go find your local shops that have shitty websites or no websites at all. Go use one of these building websites tools and go build them a website. Charge them $25 a month to host it.
Yeah.
Have 10 of those. You're fucking sitting pretty.
Yeah.
Like
That'd be great. I've
there's a
considered
great
doing,
business idea.
yeah, I've considered doing like I was a bartender for 10 years before I got into line work. And I was considering like maybe I should be like a what do I even call it? It'd be like almost like a trainer where I would come in and I would kind of assess your bar, say, okay, you need to move this stuff around here. You can do that. Like I've worked in San Francisco, Southern California, and Maui, so I kind of know how a bar is supposed to run. So I could go in there and create a report for you. But then you add that to it, and it's like, hey, not only will I tell you how to improve your business, but I'll make you a fucking website and charge you 20. Like that's a great idea. Like people should really do that.
The biggest benefit right now for anybody looking for building businesses, building jobs, go to small towns. Small towns are dying. They need tech. They need everything that these big cities have had for years in order to survive. Like I live in a town of 3,500 people. We have two mechanic shops. Neither of them have websites. You have to call to make an appointment. Like
Wow.
there's beauty salons with no websites. Um, I can't pay. Like I can't buy no DoorDash. The local restaurants don't even have a menu online, like that kind of thing. These are
Yeah.
all businesses that can be built in small towns. They will generate you profit to live pretty. I guarantee you that.
Yeah, and if you
And on
get good at using AI, like it's not even a hard job, really. Like I just started this clip service. Like I tried doing clips of the show myself for a while, and it
yeah,
is freaking like it takes forever. It's grunt work. Like it's terrible to do. I hated it. It would take me like an entire day to make like 2 clips a day for a week, and it's just like I don't have the time for this. I don't have the energy for this. Like I just don't want to do it. It drives me nuts. Like I hate doing shit like that. And now my buddy sends me, hey, try this clip service out. And it's like, fuck. I upload the
yep.
podcast and the thing gives me 20 clips in 10 minutes. And
And they'll be
and then I
viral
can schedule them
oriented
and I can
and
schedule them to
yep.
go out so I don't have to do a damn thing. And it's like 5 years ago, that was a person's job. Now it cost me $175. I had somebody like send me an email a while back, like, hey, we can do clips for you. We could do this, we could do that. Let's do a meeting. And as I'm like, I'm reading the thing, I'm like, this is gonna be too expensive for me. Like I already
Yeah.
know that it's gonna cost too much, but I'm kind of curious as to how much they're gonna cost. So I went and did like the meeting with the guy, and I was guessing, I'm like, all right, I think it's gonna be like $400 a month. Like
Yeah.
that's probably fair. And it was like $1,700 a month, or like it was like 7 grand a year if you got it for a year. And it's like, geez, man, like I can't afford that. And then you look at their site and it's like the people that they have aren't that great. Like I
Mhm.
recognized one of them, this guy named Zuby. I don't listen to him or anything, but I recognize his name. I've seen him around before. And then I go to his YouTube channel. It's like, well, like that's not worth $1,700 a month. Like the amount of views and the amount of money he's getting, like it's just not there. And for just weeks later, a machine replaced this entire company. And they were probably using the same type of crap that
Same
I'm
thing.
using now. They just weren't telling you about it.
Yeah, and that's the only reason I started my podcast is because AI has taken the load off. I can handle it. That's the only
Yeah.
reason I thought I could do this. I'm not an editor. I had to hire people because I'm like, oh, maybe there's an AI editing tool. No,
Yeah,
not
haven't
yet.
found that yet.
It's coming.
Yep.
Coming. But yeah, I love my editors. I don't think I'll get rid of them at all anymore because they're just part of my team. But yeah, like these are jobs that you no longer need to worry about to start these types of things up. And there's so many. There's going to be new jobs out there every day. AI is just going to transform everything.
Yeah.
It's it's really scary and optimistic at the same time.
And like some people are really not prepared for this. Like I have a family member that is she's a secretary, like
Mhm.
executive assistant, whatever it is. And like she's been working for the guy that is that have you heard of that mega project in I guess it's Saudi Arabia called The Line? It's like this big
Yeah.
arcology. So she's working for a guy who's working for the crown prince on the line. And immediately I'm like, okay, you are working for a criminal. Like this guy, sure, he wears a suit every day, but this guy's a criminal for sure. He's working for a guy who tortures journalists for fun. So, like,
Mhm.
you need to figure some shit out. She gets fired. And it's like, AI is gonna replace she makes like $120,000 a year. It's like that
Yeah.
is unsustainable. She lives in California, doesn't wanna move, gas is insane there, and it's like, you need to figure something out immediately because your job is going to be ran by somebody else who's gonna, like, charge, like, not even half, less than half. You could hire somebody for $20 an hour, implement AI, and do her complete job within a couple of months, I would think, and it's like
You don't. There's already services to do it.
yeah.
I already know a service that can do that exact job.
Yep, she plans events and stuff like that, and it's like, I
Yep.
know that stuff can do that already, and a lot of Californians are gonna get screwed really bad because they think they live in paradise and everything's just gonna be okay, and when I lived in California, it was kind of the same thing, like, you think that there's no other place on the planet, like, why would I live anywhere but here because this is the best
Mm.
place to live, and there is something to that, like, Northern California, where I grew up, it's beautiful compared to Idaho, like, Idaho's
Yeah.
nice where I live in Southern Idaho, or Eastern, Boise area, so it's not great around here, we're kind of in a desert, and, I lived off of Highway 128 in Northern California where you could drive 20 minutes and you're in the most beautiful redwoods on the planet. But like if you can't live there, you can't live there. It's just one
Mhm.
of these things where like you're not going to be able to get insurance on your house at some point because of all the fires. And
Yep.
you're really going to be screwed. Like I got lucky. When I got hurt, I was bartending in San Francisco. I was making six figures, doing very well. But it was like a short-term job in a way. Like I'm not going to be young and good looking
Mm.
forever. Like I can't there's no future in this. I didn't know about Bitcoin or any of that type of stuff back then. So I didn't think that like I had a chance to like build a 401k or retirement and stuff like that. Like if I would oh crap, my freaking computer's about to die. Give me 1 second here. I'm so sorry.
Yep. No worries.
Oh. And we're back. Sorry about that. I got ready so quick I forgot to put the dang cord in. Anyways, I got when
Oh.
I got hurt, I was making like 15 bucks an hour doing line work in North Dakota. So it's like you can't live in San Francisco on that. So
Mm.
me and my ex-wife moved to here in Boise, and everybody's like, "Oh, you can't move there. There's nothing there. You don't know anybody." Blah blah blah. Now everybody wants to move here because they're screwed.
I I'm in the same boat. Me and my fiance moved to no family, nothing here. We just up and left. We're like the houses are cheap. It's a beautiful
Yeah,
province. Like I sit on the water. Like I have a beautiful view of the water.
cool.
Um, and house prices were next to nothing. Like I paid less than I did for what I did for my house in Ontario.
Yeah, me too. I
So it's
paid
like,
my mortgage is cheaper than my rent was in San Francisco.
yeah,
And like
and
now,
it's
all
just
my
like,
friends that have moved here, they're all paying big prices. Where like I got,
yeah.
we got like a 40% jump in real estate during COVID. So like I
Mm.
feel bad for people because I got pushed out of California and I'm doing it to people here. I moved in, got in at low real estate prices, and now like I rent rooms out and I've got guys that are, struggling to buy a house. And it sucks, but that's the world we
But
live
it's
in.
but it's also good because you're also starting to build up other areas. People are starting to move to it, and
Mhm.
as people start to move to it, you're going to end up building and having more growth. That's one of the biggest things that has brought me insight into moving here is the amount of opportunity I now have to build businesses, to build things that solutions that they need. They're so behind in tech that I am so advanced that I can come in and build several businesses across this province just by coming up with certain ideas that we've had other places on in the country. And it's like these are the opportunities that there are nowadays. Move to small towns, fix up their shit because honestly, small towns are going to be the ones that survive out of
Yeah.
all of this.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I wish I was better at tech. Like, I'm not a tech guy. It took me a lot to, like, figure out how to do a podcast and edit and all that
Mhm.
type of stuff. Like, I don't have the mind for this type of thing. Like, it's just I don't have it. But, like, for people that do, man, that's some of the best advice we've had on this podcast in a long time is that they do need help. Like, there I live in a medium-sized town, I would say. There's, like, 90,000 people in Nampa, Idaho, but it's kinda spread out, and we're more of
Yeah.
an industrial town. Like, God, behind my house, they built this, like, complex of townhouses, and then they put a business park right in the middle of it. So you've got townhouses and business park, right? Like, I wish that my town would build more parks and less industry, but it is nice that I live in a place where things are moving, things are building. Like, there's always work around here for people.
Yeah.
And like, my buddy had a friend from California come up and visit this weekend, and he's one of the holdouts. It's like, yeah, you guys don't want to move there. California's the best, blah, 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 the whole thing. And he takes them around and they take them on the green belt and they're going to baseball games. And at, a couple of days in, he's like, "Man, I see why you're here. Like, this is more like the town that we grew up in," and, like, that's the same type of feel that I have for it here. It's like, it feels more like the small town that I grew up in than it does now. And, like, he was saying, and this was really cynical, and I could see this being the case. He said that, like, even having children in Northern California is kind of like a burden at this point because they are not playing out in the streets like they used to. A lot of the people that moved in don't have children, and, like, you don't bring kids to a party anymore. If you're gonna go out and you're going to dinner, you're kind of expected to leave your children at home, and, like, I think that's just such a horrible thing, and, like, here it's all about kids. Like,
Yeah.
everything that people do around here is for their kids. And I think that is the way society ought to act. That it's not about you. One of the boomers are some of the most selfish and destructive people that have ever walked the face of the planet. Like, they're one of the worst generations in history. Like, my grandparents, who they had normal jobs, they did pretty good. They would go out on the lake on their boat, and they would put their kids on the shore and leave them there all day, and then they would go out and ski and have fun and then come back and pick them up and go back to the house, and, like, we didn't do that when I was a kid. Like, we had a ski
Yeah.
boat, and it was all about the kids. Like, "All right, who's tubing next? Who's going in?" And then the adults came later, and, like, I think
Mhm.
that's a much better way to operate a society.
Yeah, I'm not having kids. Like I've already like taken that
Yeah.
step away.
Me too. I'm too
Um
old and I'm divorced and a lot of things, but I'm like 39, it's probably not gonna happen, which sucks,
but
but
yeah, like I really I find it funny because Elon's always like, if you don't have kids, you have no stake in the future. And it's like I want to fix the future for everybody else's kids. Like
yeah,
just because I don't want kids doesn't mean I don't want to help everybody else's children out.
yeah,
Like I want to dedicate my life to fixing the problems that our previous generations had, and that's selfish of me. And to bring a kid along and to have to like worry about that as well, like I'd rather be selfish and try and fix things than to bring in a life that will have to suffer through this same debacle that we've been through. But like, I don't think I don't know where I was going with that. Um, I think kids need to be kids.
yeah,
And that is the one thing we have not allowed them to be. When I was growing up, you didn't come in until the street lights turned off.
yeah,
Like kids need to be able to have their own autonomy, go out and play. As long as they're back at a certain hour, I get it. There's like dangers and things
yeah,
like that, but the dangers are are amplified by the media. Like it's not like every single small town has a child. Well, could be, but like has a child predator that's going to kidnap your kid. Like this stuff has been overblown for
Yeah.
years to the point where you're not allowing your kids to go out. You're not allowed your kid to play down the street with the next door neighbor.
Yeah.
Like these are the things that kids should be doing
Yeah.
because I think we ended up with a generation that doesn't want to like go out and try things, doesn't want to like experience anything because they're so afraid of walking out the doors.
Yeah. There was like the town I grew up in, I started staying home from school when I was like 10 years old or even earlier.
Yeah.
My grandparents lived like right next to us. So they were home and like I would get on my bike and I was over to the subdivision every day and we're building jumps or sliding down hills on cardboard. And like there was a major like kidnapping and murder in our area during that time. And they found her like a mile from my house. Her name was Polly Class. It was a very big like news
Or yeah.
thing. And nobody kept the kids in after that. It was like, well, that sucks. Like, it's horrible. It's disgusting. Like, that guy should be, hung by his feet and tarred and feathered and
And
everything else you can
and of
imagine to him.
course
But
the
like, we're
kids
not
get
going to
all
change our
told.
lives based on this like minuscule, very minuscule chance that something like that is going to happen.
Well, even if it does happen, you've now seen it happen, and now you're warning the children of these dangers. That's the whole point.
Hmm.
That's the whole point of teaching them, right? Like, hey, there's a danger. Now you need to teach them about that danger. But it doesn't mean that that danger is always going to be there, and that we have to be worried about it every second of every day. We've become a culture that just feeds on fear, and it's funny because we're coming into an era where we're about to bring in this new intelligence and everybody's so scared that this new intelligence is going to destroy humanity as like this dystopian hellscape, and it's kind of a self fulfilling prophecy because AI learns from who we are, and all we've put on the internet is hate, rage, like all of the evil sins that we can think of on the internet, and that's how we treat our internet. Our internet is our masked place where we can be as mean as we want and not be actual humans. So you're training AI on data that's not really human to act
Yeah.
like a human. And then everybody's like wondering, well, we're going to end up be destroying ourselves. And it's like, yes, because you're not giving hope. You're not giving love. You're not giving energy to others on the internet and treating them like humans. You expect AI to be any different?
Yeah. No, I'm an asshole on the internet, like big time, a lot. Like people say something
30
stupid to
years
me,
of being a
I'm
troll.
coming
So
at you. Yeah, exactly. Like that. And that makes sense. Like Twitter's a cesspool right now. Like my Twitter is fucking wild when I go on it. Like there is some wild stuff. Like some of it, like I'll watch a video or something. It's like, oh boy, I hope they're not tracking data because I don't want anybody to know that I watched that entire video.
I remember as a kid just being like, how do I hide Google searches? Because like
Yeah,
I didn't like
exactly.
I was just looking curious, like because I remember watching movies and being like, can you make a bomb from a fertilizer?
Yeah,
And like
yeah.
all these things, I'm like, oh shit, maybe I shouldn't be Googling this stuff.
Yeah. I assume that I'm being watched at all times at this point, and it sucks, but like I like Apple
It's
products, you know? Like, I
it's our
know that
reality.
they're evil. I know that they're taking my data. They should be paying us for our data. Like, all of these companies, there should be an option like, hey, we'll either not take your data or we'll, like Amazon, for instance. Amazon could put something out that says, hey, look, we can, we can just not follow you, not take any of your data, or you can give us all of your data and we'll give you 20% off on all your orders or
Yep.
10% off on like that would be a great deal. I would love something like that because it at least gives you an option rather than just being treated like a resource, which is really what we are.
Well, and that's why like governments really failed in that regard. Like they should have stepped up in terms of privacy. By default, you should be opt out or opt in. Like by default, every website should be opt in only. Like you should
Mhm.
not be allowed to like automatically opt somebody in.
I
Um,
think it's a Fourth Amendment violation
yeah,
a
because
lot of the
freedom of
time,
speech, like
you know?
that ownership of your data, that ownership of like what you said, yeah, like and that's been a big debate for years and years, and AI is going to accelerate that even more because now um, you really can steal anybody's data at any time. And it's like, okay, now we need to start having privacy laws that actually match the acceleration of our growth and our tech. But we're too far behind. These tech companies already have the bounds of saying, oh, we get all your data if you post on our platform. So that's already off the table.
Hmm.
So you're giving all of the power to the more tech giants to tell us what we're doing. Again,
Bunch of monsters. These freaking tech people. They're not even real. They look like people. A lot of them are sociopaths, I think, where
the
they
nice part though is the revolution of tech is here. All of the tech workers who work for these big companies are stepping away, creating their own software because they're starting to realize that these companies are controlling them and they don't have to be controlled this way anymore. So you're going to have a whole bunch of new software, new ideas
yeah,
coming out in the future from people like me who've just had enough with the system and said, fuck it, we're building our own.
yeah,
We're going to start fresh. We're going to do it right. And we're going to keep our value. So I built my company as my own personal brand, 100% equity. I plan to never give out equity of my company to anybody. And that is protection so that my company can stand for exactly what I built it: authenticity, openness, and transparency, and being able to help. Um, and that's what we have to do nowadays: is become companies to fight companies.
yeah. Yeah, I'm super bullish on like individual tech right now. Like we live in a very high tech society. We have a lot of really great technology, but most normal people don't even get to touch it or see it. AI is going to
Yeah,
change that where it's not going to be just for these tech giants. And, you're going to have access to an agent that is going to be able to help you with every aspect of your life. My buddy Dan, he has an agent loaded onto his sunglasses right now. So he
yeah.
can literally just tell it things. And he says, it's going to be at the point where it's going to, make all of your orders and purchases for you. You're not even gonna have to tell it to do it. It's just going to know what you want based on listening to you
I
throughout the day, which is interesting.
I interviewed a guy. His name is Jake Wolf. He came out with a book called The Final Business Model, and he built an agentic AI system. So like agents that basically are a company. So you get one prompt and you say, "I want to build this," and it will like bring up marketing agents and then start doing marketing stuff, and it'll bring up dev agents to start doing development stuff, and it'll all be a self-contained ecosystem of an entire company. You don't need anybody anymore. One person can be an entire company
Yeah,
from this
super
agentic
cool.
system.
Super cool. It's
Um,
gonna it's gonna give
just
the people with the entrepreneurial mind and spirit just like a supercharge. It's gonna give them
we
a
know
way to
there's
just
no
really
cost to
go for it.
entry.
Yeah, yeah.
There's no cost to entry anymore. You can become an entrepreneur with zero capital.
So freaking cool. I had a couple other
Yeah.
questions about Canada I was gonna ask you, but we didn't get to it. It's not a big deal. Last question, and we'll get you out of here. Do you think that Trudeau is really Castro's son?
Oh, I heard about that. I no. I no. I think he's just an idealistic playboy that, or like not playboy. He's very idealistic, and um, I think he tried to create like some sort of liberal movement, especially around weed, because I voted for him when he was fucking legalizing weed.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it was just really he saw a lot of things he could do in different countries, and that's kind of where it came up. Because a lot of Canada loves Cuba, and Cuba does a lot of things right in government
Mhm.
that can translate to Canada, and I think has in certain regards. So I think that's kind of where it came from. Um, but my mother's been going to my parents have been going to Cuba for over 30 years
Oh,
now,
cool. I'd
and they're
love
running
to
a
go to Cuba.
nonprofit. Yeah, they're
There was
running a
a
nonprofit to help Cubans there because they're really struggling with COVID and everything. But yeah, they Cuba's just a beautiful place, and they're like, there's no sense of truth to that. Like they
there's a
ask Cubans all the time. They're like, "There's no way, no."
there's a really cool show. It was a reality show. It was probably 10 years, 15 years ago now. It was called Cuban Chrome. And it was about
Ooh.
like if you've been to, I don't know if you've been to Cuba, but like I've
Yeah,
seen pictures like all of the taxis are like these old 55 Bel Airs and just beautiful old cars, but they don't have any of the parts for them, like because they can't get anything from America. So it was just about like how they utilize the tools that they have around them
they
to make
they are
things work.
amazing eventers.
They're so
Um,
ingenuitive.
I've seen battery packs made from like paper clips and Duracell batteries for their phones. They have a different sense of internet, so they don't even have YouTube for really. So
Oh,
like they
wow.
have to learn other ways. And yeah, they're just ingenious people coming up with amazing concepts. It's just you don't hear from them because their internet is so segregated from ours.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, like I love going down there. They're an amazing people.
I'd love to go
And
there.
I'm
Like,
really really bad. Feel bad for everything going on with them.
Yeah, it sucks, man. Like that was the cool thing about the show is you got to see like the horrors of communism and some of the awful things that have happened to that place, but also like the human spirit that just keeps moving forward. It doesn't matter what's around you. We just got to get this taxi running. We're not really
Yep.
concerned about what they're doing in the government as long as we can get this fucking car running. You know what I mean? And I really liked that show. I wish it would have stayed on for longer because it was
Well,
such a cool thing to see.
I'll give you a little tidbit because in the future, Hollywood's not going to have a say on what's on your TV anymore.
No.
It's all going to be YouTube.
Yep.
The AI is going to level Hollywood, because the ingenuity of people and the stories of people are gonna pop up on YouTube. I guarantee it. So you're gonna see a lot more inspirational and different stories in the
I think so
future,
too.
and we're not that far off.
Last question, we'll get you out of here. Is Shad Khan your guys' AOC?
Who's Chad Khan?
Shad Khan, he's the
I don't
guy.
even.
He's got the turban. He's an Indian guy with the turban. I see him a lot on Twitter, and he seems like your guys' AOC. Looks like he might wear makeup. I can't really tell for sure, but it's he's
Yeah,
a
I don't.
he's a what?
I don't know anything of him,
Well,
unfortunately.
well, that's probably a good thing in all honesty, because he seems like a real loser to me. But
There are most of our government's run by losers.
yeah,
Not
so
gonna
is
lie,
ours.
like.
So is ours. There was these guys that took over the FBI and were talking about arresting criminals and weeding out the bad people. And oh yeah, I guess as soon as he got in, they're just everybody's good now because we aren't
Yeah.
seeing anything happen to the FBI. It's not getting downsized. It's not nobody's getting fired. Like it's just back to business as normal. That's one of the things that like really bothers me about Republicans. It's like, well, we just need to get the good people into politics, and then everything's going to be great. It's like, come on, guys, give
It's
me a
like
break.
you think it's just a sport you can just go and pick up at any time, and it's like, no, no, you guys got to continue. You can't just drop the ball and say we're done. Especially that pissed me off. Sorry, I'll go into this last rant
Yeah,
before.
no, I've got nothing but time. I was just trying to get you out of here.
Mark Carney pissed me right off, and it pissed off a lot of Canadians because he decided to not come out with a budget for his cabinet for the year. And the reason was because there wasn't enough time for them to come up with a budget. They have 3 weeks before they're supposed to go on vacation.
Yeah,
Vacation.
yeah.
We have the worst economic situation we've ever had, probably ever in Canada. And the Liberal government wants to take a vacation instead of doing the budget.
Yeah, they do the same thing here. They'll drop this like Bible of a bill, and 4,000 pages, 5,000 pages. Well, if we don't vote for it, then we have to stay and we can't go back home for Christmas. And it's like,
You
dude.
shouldn't be having a vacation. You caused this problem. Fix it.
Yep,
Especially in Canada, because the Liberal government did cause this problem and they need to fix it.
yep. And they need to go to
So,
zero-based budgeting and stop with this continuing
uh,
resolution crap. Like, if they just went to zero-based budgeting, that would change so much. And if people don't know what I'm talking about, you start with a budget at the beginning of the year, and at the end of the year, you account for every dollar you spent, and then you come up with a new budget. You don't just say, "Well, we didn't get to this part of this budget, so we're going to roll it over into next year." It's like, no, 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 no. Account for everything and start over. But we'll never go to that because
the-
that would be good for the economy and good for the
well, yeah,
people.
because the departments wouldn't get their money, right? Like
Mhm.
the only way they get more money is if they spend every dollar that they've had in their budget, not the other way around.
Yeah.
So
And then they
it
have
is what
these
it is.
slush funds like USAID, which was just a total freaking scam. And then they got people convinced, oh, they're taking money away from the poorest people on the planet. It's like, no, they're closing down the CIA slush fund. And the
Mhm.
CIA is going to create another one. They're going to get their money. And like, none of that USAID stuff was actually going to help people in Africa or India or wherever the hell the money was supposed to go. It was
It's all
just
getting
all
skimmed off the top.
intelligence. Yeah. Yeah. It was a slush fund. Joke.
Anyways,
All right.
I'll let you go because it is 10:30 here and past my way past
Oh,
my
my
bedtime.
goodness. I didn't realize it was that late. Thank you for coming on, man. It's been a blast
No
talking
problem.
with you. We'll do this again someday. All right.
Definitely.
Good night,
Take care.
everybody.